Since the recent onslaught of delays pushing back the newest releases, there has been a cyberpunk-shaped void left in my mind. Fortunately, it seems Ghostrunner has swept along to tide me over till the forthcoming next-gen releases. The latest game from developer One More Level sees you step into the shoes of a blade-wielding assassin, traversing a new take on the cyberpunk genre, which ends up feeling like a mix between Super Meat Boy and Mirror's Edge. Though, while a lot of the time it helps you embrace a pedal to the metal ninja persona, it also hits the brakes on the action, forcing you to endure frustrating puzzle sections as you race to get back into combat. The majority of Ghostrunner's playtime is spent parkouring your way through the various districts of Dharma City, the desolate and gloomy cyberpunk backdrop in which all of the encounters take place. Traversal is achieved through a combination of wall running, sliding, and grappling which, when combined, creates an extremely satisfying movement system that challenges the likes of Mirror's Edge and Dying Light. Like the aforementioned games, the parkour feels weighty with enough movement options to allow you to string together a combo of jumps, slides, and dashes. Though this movement system wouldn't be as effective without great level design, and thankfully Ghostrunner delivers there too. Each encounter hosts a vast array of options for approaching combat, with different paths to take and a multitude of ways to deal with the situation. This level of satisfaction and heart-pumping action is carried over to the encounters which start and end relatively fast as everyone dies in one hit, including you, leading to a mountain of deaths in each level. Despite this, all the encounters feel well balanced, with your skill being the only limiting factor, and no time is spared getting you back into the fight with instant respawns as well as generous checkpoints. This provides plenty of room for experimentation, which is handy since the enemy variety means you'll have to change up your tactics on the fly, and due to the short-lived nature of the game, you're never given enough time to feel comfortable with all the enemies in each given area. This makes it all the more annoying when you're taken out of the combat for all of 10 minutes to solve a simple puzzle. At random points you're taken into the Cyber Void, a digital dreamscape in which you're taken out of the action to complete some menial puzzles that serve little purpose. These sections take you out of the speed and fluidity of combat and slow things down to a crawl, breaking the pace. The only benefit to these being the occasional reward of a new ability. An array of situational abilities such as an auto-lock dash attack or a long-range projectile sword throw provide you with that one extra kill you need to complete an encounter. While powerful, all abilities are fine-tuned to give you an edge over certain enemy types, but ensure you're not overpowered once all abilities have been attained. Complementing the abilities are the skills you earn after completing certain levels. These give you the capacity to decrease ability cooldowns or buff one ability whilst decreasing the usefulness of another, providing another layer of thought before tackling the next level. These skills are placed into a Tetris-style grid, but as you have limited space, you're forced to pick a few select skills. This is a nice change over more traditional skill tree setups in which you simply press X and your job is done. Finding the right combination of skills and abilities can greatly influence how a majority of encounters and boss fights progress.
Splendid.
While there are only less than a handful of bosses, each acts as a test of game knowledge, a barrier you must overcome in order to progress to the next section, usually playing off mechanics and abilities learned in previous segments. These battles provide fun and challenging face-offs that never overstay their welcome, a theme felt throughout the game, with its 67-hour runtime progressing at a swift pace. It's long enough that it doesn't leave you hungry for more, and yet short enough that you don't feel like you're playing a bloated 50-hour RPG.
Don't fall!
As you slice your way through the streets of Dharma, you're fed nuggets of story information at a steady rate, adding context to the action, although at times I felt so focused on said action that I potentially missed important dialogue. That being said, the story is fairly run-of-the-mill, mostly serving to give some meaning to your actions as it's generally told through calls from various cast members. The story follows the overtaking of Dharma City by the Keymaster, Mara. As far as cliché resistance group stories go, Ghostrunner doesn't try to change up the formula except from a few predictable twists, creating a mostly unengaging plot that leaves a lot to be desired. The lack of an interesting story is saved by its thrilling gameplay, which I found was the driving force for me to continue playing. Ultimately, Ghostrunner's appeal is derived from its action-packed combat which keeps you engaged throughout its entire 7-hour runtime. What started out as the perfect game to keep me occupied till the launch of next gen turned out to be a surprisingly well crafted and polished title with breakneck combat and movement systems to boot, in addition to a perfectly smooth experience from top to bottom. This is all enhanced by level design that perfectly complements the game's systems. Despite a largely unremarkable story, this is a game worth visiting for any fan of parkour based action.